What is going on, everyone? Is Thursday night, 6 p.m. Central. You know what that means. It's time for another ranking show. Hope everyone that is joining us had a great Thanksgiving holiday with their families. And tonight we have got four-wheel drive trucks, and we're joined by Mr. Mick Broughton, driver of the Shock Treatment. Beautiful, beautiful truck out of Michigan. How are you doing, Mr. Mick?
Good. How are you guys doing? Thank you.
Great.
Doing good.
Yep. So we were kind of talking before the show. I know your truck. It's one of the most beautiful trucks, I would argue, out of the whole four-wheel drive class. And I only get to see you run a couple of times a year, but just kind of take us through what started out to be your season and what happened.
Well, coming off winning, the Region 2, the 2021 Region 2 points, and then going to the Interleague, going to Louisville, and then it all kind of went south from there. We worked, the guys at G&K Motorsports and Dave Vissner worked really hard over the off season. We picked up power, picked up torque, and two hooks in, we had really don't know what happened. A rod, a brand new rod broke with 2 runs on it. And from there, we sat out until I got a call from Galen Young and Dave Vissner with a new prototype engine that they wanted us to run at Bowling Green. And we ran it there in Wauseon, and that was the end of our season.
Mick, I'm going to give you the softball of softballs tonight. Why does your truck look so good?
Well, I guess this is a good place to clear the air. We own our own wrap company called Race Wraps. We weren't the only ones that had a hand in that. Motor City Wraps did some of that as well. But that's about it. We do our own stuff.
They've done a few vehicles so far that I've seen, and they all came out really, really sweet. They're in the apparel business as well, and crew shirts. They did them for me for this past year, and Mick's going to do them again for me in 23. So.
Yeah, we wrapped Ike Ziering's truck, Dwayne Bound's truck, those two. Shepherd's Playtime Motorsports 2-wheel drive. We did some work with them. So it's been a really good start so far.
Yeah. All those trucks looks absolutely awesome. Well, guys, we're here to rank the top 10 in the nation. You guys ready to get into it?
I am. I don't know if one of you guys prepared the thing. I did. If you didn't.
I didn't.
Okay. I got it.
Nope.
I got you.
Who's going to be leading us off tonight?
Actually, you know what? If I switched up the order tonight. I did you first, Shane, then Wyatt, then myself. But before I throw it up there, we can do our honorable mentions.
All right. Wyatt, you want to go ahead and kick us off with honorable mentions, bub?
To find an honorable mention for a four-wheel drive is really, really hard. I mean, you have a lot of team trucks. So my honorable mentions are just teams that didn't quite make my list. First off was the Davis trucks, Peyton Davis and family. They didn't get out a bunch, but when they got around, they were really tough. They won in Benson, had a really good showing in Bowling Green, but past NCPA Grand National champions are always tough. The Skeltons, they had a couple outlaw wins. It's always a good 2-truck team. And then the Corsa family from Georgia, they had a Grand National win this year. Still trying to figure out in the new truck, but they're up and coming.
Yeah, copy and paste all of those for me too, Wyatt, as you said. Davis team, really missed seeing them out on the circuit this year, honestly.
Don't hate any of those. For me, I had Mark Mangan in there with the Outlaw, 1 win on GN Tour. Mike O'Connor out of Region 3, the Nasty Boys truck, did pretty well. The Thornton's second truck, the backdraft out of the Outlaws, win or 2 for those guys out there. Charlie Miller, Foxy Lady, also out of the Outlaws with some wins on the year. Gary Varner, Fast Break out of the Champions Tour. And the other 2 Ziering trucks for Ike and Isaac factored in as well.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with all those. Even O'Connor's other truck, what is it, the Bad Habit or whatever, that they had some wins too as well.
Yeah. All of those trucks are absolutely awesome running trucks. Well, with the honorable mentions out the way, is jump into number 10.
All right, let me throw this up there and we'll get her going. Here we go.
All right, my number 10, I have the Thunderstruck truck. He had 4 outlaw wins, and he is under cubed running with the outlaw guys.
For my number 10, I went with one of Charles's honorable mentions. I went with the Foxy Lady truck out of the Outlaws. Multiple outlaw wins. He didn't make the entire circuit, but he was pretty dominant when he showed up.
For me at number 10, I went back to the regional well. I came up with the Suki's team and Totally Geared. They had 3 wins on the Region 3 circuit, and then they mixed it up with Outlaws and the Grand National and factored pretty well everywhere they went. So I was pretty pleased to see what they did by not really chasing a tour and going everywhere.
All right, number 9 for me was Foxy Lady with 3 wins on the Outlaw Tour. Like you guys said, he didn't run the full tour, but whenever he showed up, he was dominant. Also, for 2022, he had the Invite the Farm Machinery show.
How much do you guys, Shane and Wyatt, do you see of the outlaw trucks? I get, if somebody shows up at Rockwell, I get to see them, but like Mick and I, we don't really get to see those guys too much out here.
I don't get to see them hardly at all because the four-wheel drive class that we run on Mid-South is a little bit different compared to this, and the only time I see four-wheel drives is in Chapel Hill, Tennessee, or in Bowling Green, Ohio, whenever I'm there.
Gotcha.
I usually get to see him up in Rockwell. I know the Christensens usually like to cross over and jump in Rockwell with Red Hot and Nut and Honey. But other than that, most of those guys, they stay on the outlaw side because of the difference in rules. But hopefully this next year I get to see a few more, see what they have to offer.
Yeah, I see you grinning. I'm going to put it up there too.
Yeah, that's my neighbors that live upstairs. I made the mistake of telling them I was doing the show tonight. They were asking about it the other day, like, hey, what's this thing that you do? I'm like, I'll show you.
Yep. For my number 9, I'm going to go with Shane's number 10. I got the Thunderstruck truck. I get to see that one a lot, Jamie Bush. He crosses over in Outlaw, runs a bunch of NTPA also, but when he wins on both associations, he's always been really tough. He's won Rockwell before, his hometown, and always a stout truck.
Mick, I swear none of us talked to each other before this about what we're going to do.
No, not at all.
What Wyatt said.
Yeah, I think Jamie Bush is probably one of the most underrated trucks on the in the country.
And he was another one like Suki's where he popped up all over the place and factored well when he was there.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie's always a contender.
That is for sure. Going into number 8, I picked up Temporary Sanity. He had 3 regional wins on the Region 2 circuit, and he was a Region 2 winner for that reason.
For my number 8, I went with another outlaw truck, and that's the Thumper. He was outlaw runner-up in points. He had multiple wins against the outlaw competition, but not quite getting the championship. But number 8 is where I got him at.
For my number 8, I went to the Champions Tour and came up with Steve Clem in the Radical. A couple of wins for him on the tour out of 12 starts. Pretty good showing.
All right, number 7 for me, I had Risky Business from the Outlaws again. 5 wins on the Outlaw Tour for the whole season and ran really strong from what I saw.
That's what pardon me. Sorry. I've got a Radical at my number 7 for the same reason Charles had. 2 wins, 6 top 5s.
Number 7, that's where I stuck in the Thumper truck. Again, I don't get to see it. I've never seen it run. I'm just solely going off of what I see out of the results, and it seemed like it showed to me that they were good. And 2 trucks for the team, multiple wins for both, but this one just seemed to be kind of, in terms of the points, the stronger finisher of the 2.
Yep. My number 6, I put Radical there with 2 wins on the PPL Tour and finishing 4th in PPL points. He's also a Kentucky boy too. You gotta show him a little love to him.
Mick, any of these guys on these lists, have you ever ran against them before outside of Region 2?
Just Foxy Lady. Well, Ron Newell, obviously. Bowling Green and such like that. Radical Risky Business, Foxy Lady, all at the Farm Machinery Show.
Yep.
Is there any difference that they do at the Farm Machinery Show? Or is it just similar?
Well, that's a tough one. I went there and got so far away from our normal game that it showed. I don't think so. I don't think you really do a whole lot different other than gearing. We got too safe and just should have let it all hang out.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to figure that indoors when it's short track and
it all happens so fast. I mean, you're kind of there, hurry up and wait, and then next thing you know, it's done and it's over with, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. Number 6, I went with the Risky Business, the Outlaw Champ. He had multiple Outlaw wins, consistent throughout the entire season, but consistency and winning, that's what gets you a championship.
I said the same thing with going with the Claypool team. And they're another, they were sticking to Outlaws, but you do see them pop up from time to time other places, and they fare well when they do. Just a consistent truck, and you can't believe what a grind it is to go out Outlaws in this class. For NTPA, they had a dozen hooks, 2 were rainouts. Champions Tour had a dozen hooks. You go out to Outlaws and you're getting close to 20. So you're definitely grinding out there.
But not only that, they broke a crank early in the season, and then they were able to get back out. And luckily they had a spare motor, but then they got their big motor back and to hold off and win. I mean, that's tough.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Starting our top 5, I have the foster child of Carmen Foster. She had 3 wins this year, 6 top 5s, 7 top 10s, and I believe she finished 3rd in Grand National points.
Yep. I have the same thing for the same reasons. She had a little bit of a rough start at the beginning of the year. Didn't fare well in Toma, but she picked it up right away as it went down to Dodge City. But past Grand National champion, Carmen's always a threat.
Yeah. She's really starting to pick up that hill, too.
I want to make some people mad with this one. At number 5, I've got Foreplay.
Oh.
3 wins on the Region 2 tour, and had they stuck with it, they probably would have displaced Ron Newell for the championship. But on the national tour, 1 win at Bowling Green. It was a blowout win. They crushed them, but just didn't see number 2 in points, consistent. I didn't see the killer instinct I look for in a power ranking where someone's trying to punch your lights out.
Yeah, I saw that pass in Bowling Green this year too. It was something. That crowd came to life whenever they saw the Foreplay truck go out the door.
It's just something about a legend status. When they do that, it just electrifies the entire crowd.
Oh, no doubt.
Oh,
They
yeah.
didn't seem to bring it for Bowling Green. I mean, it just I don't know. They bring their A game for sure.
Yeah.
I'd be quite curious to see how many miles they have on that track alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
It's got to be a lot, but yeah.
My number 4, I have Running Wild from the PPL Tour. He had 4 wins total for the year and went on 3-win streak at one point in the season. And one word describes that, and that's consistency, and that's what it takes to be a top runner.
For my number 4, I went with the Foreplay truck, the Holmans. They had that big win in Bowling Green. They had the BG ring. They were second place in points, but legend status, you can't go against them. They're tough all the time, but always good.
Mick's probably not going to like me for this one, where I'm placing this truck, but it's where I came in with it. I got Rule 19 here. And yes, he was a GN champion, but the 2 wins he got were the first 2 hooks of the season, and then he was just hanging on after that. And in a power ranking too, I'm also looking at recency bias, and I don't mean any disrespect to Jake Zering, but that's just some of the metrics I'm looking at for doing something like this. And right now, if they were to bring him off the trailer, that's where I'd have Rule 19.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think they had all 3 trucks in the top 5.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work to be able to do that.
Yep.
My number 3, I'm probably going to get some flack for this one too, but I put Ford Play at number 3. They had 1 Grand National win and 7 top 5s and 9 top 10s and the killer pass at Bowling Green.
Yeah, it's hard to go against guys like that. But my number 3, I went with Zering's Rule 19. Like you said, he had the 2 wins at the very beginning of the year, but from there on, it's just consistency. But in the power rankings, you got to win.
For number 3, for me, that's where I do have Charlie Hines in the Running Wild truck. As you said, winning his truck on the tour for the Champions Tour side, and came up number 2 in terms of points, but it's hard to argue with wins, you know.
All right, my number 2 is going to be the Rule number 19 as well. 2 wins, 7 top 5s, 9 top 10s, and like you said, those 2 wins were at the very beginning of the year. And they just fought some demons the rest of the year.
Yep. My number 2, the Running Wild truck, 4 wins, 8 top 5s, 2nd place PPL points. That winning streak he went on, if you go off of recency bias, that puts him up there.
Well, I think I know who everybody's number 1 is going to wind up being, so I'm going to put it to you guys. Who do you think I put at number 2?
Well, it depends on if you go off of recency or championships.
In the case of the 2 names I've got left on my sheet, counts for both.
I don't know.
I mean, Mick, you can probably guess that one.
I'm drawing a blank.
Me too.
Well, both names still on my list. One,
I know
the
one
last,
of them. I know one.
Both
Yeah.
of them won their last event of their respective tour. But for this one, I put Foster Child.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't see that.
Yeah.
3 wins on the year. One that was one of those wins was by 5 feet or better. Quality win at Chapel Hill, and number 3 in points.
Yeah. She's making a little home for herself in Chapel Hill. She always does really well there. Well, who is number 1, Wyatt?
I think we could probably guess that just across the board, but when we say it,
Midnight Raider. PPL champion, 3 wins on the Champions Tour, and just ran amazing all year long and consistent.
And broke 2 motors.
Yeah.
I mean,
And on top of that, he took the double at Norwalk and won the season final at Wheatland.
Yeah.
Nick,
always
you started you came up early 1990s when you got your start. You kind of were a contemporary to Rob Foster getting started, right?
mm-hmm. Yep.
And at that point, I mean, Jim Foster was kind of already an established, or Jim Holman, or I can't think of it, Jim Bosch was already an established name out of Michigan doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I kind of contributed that to some of our successes. You know, we run against Jim Bosch, you know, Holman's, Foster, you know, Larry Smith, you know, all them guys every weekend, you know, so it was either, you know, you got to get better or you're going to get left behind. You know, you better learn what makes a 4-wheel drive work.
Yeah.
I bet your gears are always turning in your head, thinking what you can do better, what you can do different.
Yeah, we're always, you know, we're working on some new stuff, and even right now, you know, and Louisville still hasn't that hasn't left my head. That was you know, that was a big screw up on mine, and you know, hopefully someday we'll get to come back.
You told me more than once that's one you wish you could have back.
Yeah, that was I think you need to really go there twice to take it all in. Your first time there, you know, you're kind of just taking it in And then, if you happen to do well, great. But, I think you really need to go back in order to really concentrate on winning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely
Also, you
true.
guys, an honorable mention I just thought of sitting here was Yankee Blue. He came back at Bowling Green. Now, I don't know how much he's going to run since, but he'll be back to his full strength, I'm sure, soon.
Beautiful truck. I miss Scott being out there, but I think he's having too much fun with the roundy round cars.
Yeah.
Really?
And there was talk on some of that thumb stuff that there's that mod class now that he might dabble in that some, but I really don't know.
Yeah. He could do either. He could still do it either way because he's still got the super stock also.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Most definitely.
He's an interesting place. If you ever visit the Road to Nowhere in the thumb of Michigan, you got to stop at Scott's Quick Stop. You
Get
can
some ice cream.
Yeah, you can get yourself some ice cream, some diesel fuel, your firearms, and you'll be ready to go.
Yeah.
Mr.
Wow.
Tim Weldon.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You know,
Tim's
that-
comment earlier when he had the 80 square body. Yeah, I kind of missed the look of that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
It's plain, clean, and it kicked ass.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So Nick, are you going back to the Hemi then for 23?
Yeah. Yep. I really, that motor we ran at Bowling Green, that Dave Vissner motor, it's stout. I mean, I didn't want to give it back.
It looked good. It just looked wrong in a Mopar.
Right. Kind of get used to seeing the spark plugs on top. That's the way a Dodge is supposed to be. But that wedge motor, that new wedge motor, really has a broad torque band. I mean, it's incredible. But yeah, we're gonna go back to the Hemi and run that. That's actually a Vissner head too, but it's a little bit older.
Do I dare show him?
Do it.
I mean, we got time. We can do it.
We got plenty of time.
I don't know. It sat there and he looked at it with me, but I don't know if he's used to seeing this look like this.
Wrong place, the wrong time.
Spark plugs underneath.
Yep. I tell you, it was different, doing maintenance, having to pull the spark plugs out. It was just different. I didn't really have it down yet how to get them out efficiently.
Yeah. What does your maintenance kind of look like after a run at, say, a 2-day show to get ready to go for the next one?
Well, I mean, we do it after every show. I mean, I think that's really key at this level is maintenance. We obviously we look at the filter, go through valves, check fuel. Obviously you got to put fuel in it, but tire maintenance is a big thing of ours. I mean, when we won the Region 2 points title, we were doing tires every pull. I did them every single pull.
So you guys kind of resharpen them on your own then?
Yeah. Yep. This year I ran some in Bowling Green and Wasion. I had a set cut by Justin Grace.
Okay.
He does a lot of tire sharpening for the guys, and I contribute some of the success to that as well. I mean, we were able to lean on it and get hooked up.
There, Randy Kleicamp's name coming up. Have you been up to his place, Mick, at all?
Yeah, we were up there, not last year, but the year before for that pole that they put on up there.
That's right.
In Powers, Michigan. Just a little, it's a brush pole, but it's a Lions Club. They work hard, and that was the year of 2020, and man, it was a packed house.
Yeah,
I bet it was.
I remember seeing some pictures. Foster's went up with you, didn't they?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That the old Yeller truck. Last I knew, it was rusting next to the building.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't see it up there.
I don't know. If it was just the body or basically what was left of the frame too.
I think it was just the body because I think the frame got sold.
Gotcha.
This comment right here, Mick, not something that you necessarily break the most, but what is it that you mainly check the most? Say you have a problem with it or something that you just are a little bit skeptical about when it comes to performance of an engine or anything else, like a component you have.
And the motor itself is just, bearings and valve lash. Clutch maintenance. We do clutch maintenance every run, no matter what.
Do you see any
How
problems?
sensitive- Go ahead.
Do you see any problems with the drive shaft? Do you have to look at anything serious on that, or is that just?
No, we don't. We don't seem to have that sort of issue. I mean, we built the truck and take all that in consideration and use good components. We just haven't had any issues.
I followed you when you first got what the truck started as. I figured you're going to put your personal spin on it, rebody it, and next thing I know, you had that thing completely cut apart and basically started over.
Yeah, we built the truck in 2020 and basically bought a chassis from Brad Hunter and a motor from Brad Hunter, went to Virginia and hooked twice there. We had too big a gear in it. We actually forgot every other gear at home and just didn't have nothing to switch out. But when we got home, I was I said, well, it's either we're going to go one way or another, and we set out to build a Grand National caliber truck and went to Wasion that June and had a good hook there, and it was just a storybook season from there. When we to take it back to what you asked about cutting the truck apart, I used the two frame rails and the front axle, and the rest was brand new.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Including, we had help from Foster's. They sold us a great piece, a great motor, makes incredible horsepower. And we were able to, everything just came together. It just worked. The truck hooked. And it was my first real full year back and put my butt to the seat, and it was like I never quit.
Something I've been curious about, because I've actually never asked you or any four-wheel drive truck puller with the NA motors. I know the blower guys do pay a lot of attention in the minutes and the hours, so to speak, leading into the time that they got to hook to what the air's like, what's the air density, altitude, and how are we going to set up the fuel system. And they've got a supercharger where they can create a bit of their own atmosphere. What's it like for you to have to go through that process?
Well, we don't do a whole lot. We do change. We do keep an eye on air density and humidity and temperature. But, now, since I've gotten with G&K, I call Galen. I give him the numbers and I say, what do I do? What do we do with, what are we going to do? Are we going to turn it hard? And his answer is pretty usually just, leave it alone and let her eat.
Yeah.
So
I'm
not
curious.
surprising coming from Galen, and that's, as a concept, that's the idea of a remote tuner has been prevalent in drag racing. You yourself have a little bit of experience going down the drag strip as well, and maybe that's going to be a little bit of the wave of the future for the sport of pulling too.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, drag racing actually gave me a better concept of how a chassis works, especially with shocks.
And that's a big deal in four-wheel drive. You want that front end to have some give to it, but you also don't want it to go into a chatter.
Yeah. Or the other way, which is it'll leap.
Yeah,
And
you go into
that gets pretty
tire
ugly.
mounts. Yep. Yep.
What was the inspiration behind the wrap that's on the truck?
Well, that kind of, if you look at the old shock treatment, the first shock treatment, it looks similar to that, but we just wanted something different where it looked like it was sitting in a field somewhere. You're gonna be in at the 1969 Dodge, just give it that weathered and rusted look, and we really weren't too sure about it at first. I mean, when we first started the build, I think it was January of 2021 where I talked to GTS and I wanted a newer Dodge body, and he said, "Well, I don't make nothing, and I don't plan on making anything anytime soon." And I said, "Well, okay." And we hung up the phone, and he immediately called me back, and he said, "I just took this 1969 Dodge out of the mold. What do you think?" And I said, "Send it." So we sent it, and the more we got working on it, the more we're like, "This is going to be really good."
Yeah. It's one of the coolest looking four-wheel drives I've ever seen, honestly. So
Yeah,
we got a question.
People love it. I appreciate the compliments.
Yeah. Have a comment from someone says, "What's your favorite place to pull at during the season?"
It's got to be Bowling Green. I mean, Bowling Green's Bowling Green.
What do you look for in a track when you go up to do your game plan?
I watch the Holmans.
Get people to
Not a
like
bad answer at all.
that.
No, but I really, you kind of take your own thing. My wife's pretty good at reading the track. That's that picture right there is literally like 2 streets over.
Yeah, that's the hometown fair, right?
Yep. Armada Fairgrounds. But we do our own thing, and we kind of watch the body language of other pullers. Like, probably not a good thing to let that out, but I get so much respect for a lot of these guys. You kind of just watch what they're doing and their demeanor and stuff like that. In Bowling Green, I was scared to run that side of the track. I didn't think it was that good, but Holman's proved us wrong.
Hey, Mick, I came late. Sorry, mortgages took more time today than I thought. I'm glad to have you on. Any friend of Charles is a friend of mine. How about that? So,
thank you.
Hey, so last night I did. I've been doing a West Coast show with the West Coast guys, and we had Denny Tucker on last night with Abracadabra. And I don't know you as well as Charles does. How far do you go back, like with being like a fan of the 4x4 truck class? Like, what year did it start for you, bud?
I believe it was 19. Probably like 80, 88.
Okay.
We were at the Armada Fair. My dad took us there, and he said, and that's when Don Grant had a Dodge with a Hemi in it, and he looked at me. He says, "What do you think? You want to build one?" And I'm like, "Okay." So we pulled stock for a couple years, and then what they had limited modified at the time, and from there we purchased the shock treatment.
Awesome. Yeah, Denny I didn't realize. So I guess California was like Quelo and all those guys back in the 80s. But I had Denny last night. He actually would hang his head up the side of the truck with his helmet on to watch that left line as he would shoot down the side of the line. And he actually got DQ'd at the Oakland Coliseum for doing that. And then they did a thing I learned last night they actually had 2 sleds, one sled from home plate to first base, and then from first base to second base, and they added the 2 together. Charles, you want to talk about something cool? That would be.
I watched that video the other night, I think, on YouTube.
Okay.
Actually.
Yeah, no, I just pulling in the past. There's a lot of good Facebook groups out there and stuff like that. So is that Tim Whiten's picture, Charles?
That is, yeah.
That from Charlotte.
We got to ask.
Charlotte 95.
Yeah, Mick, you get $1 if you know where that was, what year. So.
I don't know.
No, that's what makes it fun. But no, it was fun to see the history of the 4x4 mod truck class out west, especially. And he talked about in the 80s coming, or in the 2000s coming back with Quayle and competing at Fort Wayne, Indiana, at the ATPA pull there at the Coliseum. So it's kind of fun. So
that right there, I think, would be Fremont.
Is that original Fremont or is that Hudsonville?
That could be Hudsonville too. Well, there's no smoke coming out of it, so it's not Fremont because we grenaded an engine there. We tried the Dodge Hemi thing for a while, and it just didn't. Physics did not allow what you needed to do in a big cubic inch naturally aspirated configuration.
Did you ever mess around with any of the C-head Hemis?
Nope. Back then those were kind of hard to get, we had to deal with an Indy cylinder head at that time, so that was our deal.
Did you work together much with, and I'm drawing a blank right now, the fella out of Illinois, I believe, had a Dakota bodied truck, was a contemporary of yours.
Todd Gross?
Yeah, Todd Gross. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't work necessarily with him, but, he was back then there wasn't a lot of Dodges, so he was our teammate, so to speak.
Gotcha.
And Todd's drag racing now too.
He was the one I thought of with the C-head Hemi thing because he had one for sale here a couple months ago.
Yep.
There's a
when we were with Indy, I actually spoke to Dan Coelho quite a bit because he had some of the same stuff that we had, and so we were trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Got another question from Moose there.
No, sir.
How many times have you been to the Farm Machinery Show, or was last
One time?
First time. Okay.
Yeah, that was our first time.
Yeah.
Got another question up here. I think I know the answer to this, but who is somebody you feel like you have to get around when it comes to going to the poll?
My stepdad, Jake Ziering. Because that guy, I tell you what, and he says he only picks on me because he likes me, but he will get in your head. He'll beat you off the track before he beats you on the track.
Yeah, that's half the battle.
Charles, who else would do that? What you just said?
Lots of guys will do that. There was a guy who passed away. He only really ever pulled. You'll remember Morris Stein, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was asked. That time in the early 2000s, he was definitely in his 70s, if not older than that. And people would ask him, "Why don't you write a book about pulling with all you know?" And he would just kind of wink and grin and say, "Them boys will figure it out." He had you beat before you even came off the train.
Mm-hmm. And another guy too, Charles, and who I'm probably going to talk about from local here that's helped me out quite a bit is Roland Shaw.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, he's kind of gone by, people forgot about him, but, Roland taught me quite a bit about everything that I know about a four-wheel drive.
Yeah. He's put a lot of energy and chassis development, engine parts into guys in this area particularly. He was back actually this year with the Thumb. I think he ran the full tour, and I don't exactly know how he finished with the Red Ripper, but he did really good.
Yeah. Yeah, but I seen Ike ask the question on there. What are my plans for the 2023 season for Ike to finish behind me?
Ooh.
Call out.
Only
Oh,
December 1st, and we're already starting this before the
yeah,
season.
me and I go back. You know, we had a really fun 2021 season going back and forth. You know, it was on the Region 2 circuit. It was a lot of fun. He, you know, I got him on the Region 2, but he really put it to me in the Enderley, the Enderley.
As good a puller as this guy is, he's pretty good at something else too.
Heyo.
Wow.
Yeah, I did tournament fishing for quite a while. Had some success with that, and
All of a sudden, I see many people following Mick to the lake, Charles.
that's a small one.
There's no weights involved in that, right?
Yeah, you're not like that one.
Yeah,
No, don't get him
Yeah.
started on that.
yeah, that was you
That
know,
was
I actually competed against them guys at times, but you know,
Oh, wow.
I had heard rumors over the off season, you know, while we were busy and about some things that had happened, and then it all came to head, you know, and it's a shame. It's definitely a black eye to tournament walleye fishing.
So let me ask you this, just off the pulling subject. How in the world did they get away with it for so long?
I don't know. You know, I really don't know, because there was evidence at the first time that the one fish that they had caught in won both tournaments, which ended up being I think it was well over $100,000, $150,000 was, you know, you look at the fish and it just didn't compute. And then that spring they did it again, and there was evidence, and just nothing ever happened.
Wow. How often do you have time to do that, or do you not really have time to do that?
We don't have time anymore since we started Racer Apps. We don't have time. We actually just made a decision over this past weekend to sell the boat and pursue some other things. You know, my wife wants to drive. So yeah. So you know,
Are we getting into the second truck coming?
maybe someday, you know, maybe someday, not right this minute, but maybe someday.
That'd be cool. If it looks anything like the one you have now, I'm all for that.
Actually, we're, you know, once we find out from Louisville, you know, what's going on, you're probably going to see a different look to the truck come this spring. It'll be somewhat the same, but I think it's going to be even better.
Oh, wow. All right. A little teaser for things to come before the season.
Never stop improving.
No.
Is that white smoke coming out of there, Mick, like Charles brought up on the video on Monday night with Brent Long?
Nah, he doesn't have any turbos to worry about.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
But it's a cold ass morning. That's why it's doing it.
Oh, it was cold. It was,
See a little ice on the ground there, a little patchy.
yeah, that was right before we left for Louisville.
Yeah, I didn't
So
want
how
to
was
turn
your
the sound on. So.
How was your overall experience at the farm show, going there for your first time and taking in the atmosphere and everything else?
We loved it. I mean, it was tough at first. You know, it was a lot of, you know, you just taking it all in, and you know what's going on. You know, what do we do? How do we? You know, you don't want to be that guy that holds this up or holds that up. And you know, like I said, you go through driver introduction, and then next thing you know, you're sitting in the truck, you're starting it, and it's over. And then you're on your way home, and like, you know, what happened?
Yeah. I always like to
What's
get
your favorite? Vic, what's your favorite pulling T-shirt? Doesn't have to be your own truck. Favorite pulling T-shirt of all time that you own?
Probably back in the day, NTPA did some shirts of shock treatment way back. I guess that one just kind of, just holds some, a spot close, in our heart, as it was just such an honor.
Was the first gen truck also called Shot Treatment? The first one you had?
In NTPA, yes.
Where did the idea of the name come from, by the way?
My dad come up with it as, just, kind of like back then there was no Dodges, not even no Dodge bodies machine. And, and it was kind of like, it's going to be a shock, if you get what we won, or,
Do you remember a night? This is going back like 2000, 2001 time frame. There was a night at Saline down there at the fair. You won, and you must have done something in your setup, because you were the only guy to go all the way down the track. Everybody else did the whole like ping pong.
everybody, that was that chassis. That I talked to a guy recently out of North Carolina that pulled again. I was talking to him, and he says, "Oh, you sold that truck to Lynn White." He said, "Man, that thing gave us fits for, until he retired it." But that was that back half aluminum chassis that we built from about the driver's seat back. It was all aluminum.
Interesting.
And the first, I think we took it to, I think it was back then, it was Urbana, Ohio. It wasn't where the Enderley was at that time. And Don Grant walked up to it, and he looked at me, and he said, "It's going to break," and he walked away. I said, and then as I was getting ready to get in the truck and, go down the track, and I don't think it would hold up to today's horsepower and torque, but, it was a good deal. You got to have some flex in a truck.
We gotta promote your business a little bit, Mick.
That's a 36-foot boat that we wrapped not too long ago.
Charles, is that yours?
No, definitely not.
Yours would be bigger.
Mine would be bigger.
That's yours, Charles, right there. So.
That's the boat that we wrapped.
Okay. Is this at the Race Wrap shop?
No, that's not our shop, unfortunately. I wish. We had to borrow a buddy shop to fit that thing in there.
That's awesome.
Man, those look awesome.
I seen a comment on there that said, asked, what kind of trucks do you do besides, performance vehicles?
As far as wrapping,
Yeah.
we'll do anything. We'll wrap anything, but our most of our stuff so far has been motorsports related and boats because of my fishing background.
My favorite essential oil is chloroform. I love it. Jason picked the right time to walk away from his screen, and I have no control over that. That's on his computer. I literally can't do anything.
Oh, there's some other ones. My wife's pretty creative with that stuff.
Wow.
If her and Jake Zaring get talking, it gets a little bit worse.
That's something for the camera.
Yeah, her and Jake have a pretty special relationship.
Jason, look at what you froze it on. Oh, you got to go back and read those.
My doorbell just rang and my dog's freaking out, so I muted myself. Sorry, guys. So.
No, it's all good. You got up to deal with that and left it frozen on this. We were just laughing at the shirts.
It's actually kind of funny. Well, Mick, I mean, you're nice enough to come on the show with us. We got to promote your business a little bit.
I appreciate it. It. We've that, and between the racing crew style jerseys, there's some Renegade stuff, and all the jerseys are made in house. All the printing and sewing and all that good stuff.
So you're doing all the crew shirts like this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, then I need to talk with you.
Well, we got to figure out what we're going to do next week because we're running out of time. We got to, unfortunately, Jason and I have to bugger off to a TPC meeting again after this.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, get in those comments. Letting us know what class we're going to do next week.
There's a good question for you, Mick. What's your favorite class other than your own?
On a good day, you know, when a mini goes down the track straight and you know the wheels just hanging in the air, I'd love to get in a mini. But when it goes bad, I don't think my back could take it.
Yeah. I'm unfortunately too tall to ever be able to do that. So kind of knocks me out too.
Nah, I don't know about that.
6'4", my feet would be on top of the blower.
We'll figure out a way.
There's always a way for something. Slogs are on top of the blower.
Yeah.
Just have your knees up right to your chin. That's all.
I've tried sitting in one of the econ minis that we have run around Mid-South. That's a newer class that we have, and yeah, that's pretty much where they were.
Yeah, at the Enderley 2 years ago, I sat in Todd Boltman's, and it's pretty impressive.
They are. And now I think this coming year they don't have to have any movable weight going in next year, I don't think.
No, they do not.
Yeah,
fun. That's right. Tyler gets into his, and you might have an inch or two on him, but he's taller than me.
Yeah, maybe.
It's definitely up there.
Yeah. I think I remember I sat in Adam Bowers whenever I was like, I want to say 13, 14. And even then, my knees were kind of bending a little bit. So, yeah, maybe Tyler's, maybe a setup like that. I like that question right there. Mick, what's the furthest west you've gone?
Ohio. It was in Ohio, Region 2 event. I think it was a Region 2 event. It wasn't Mount Vernon. It was Mount Vernon. Sled broke. Weight went down. I ended up pretty far out there. I don't even know what it was, but it was a nice fast run and ended up 3 hooks that night.
You hooked 3 times, or?
Yeah, we hooked 3 times with that and a sled reset and then another reset after that. Back then, you didn't make the power that you made and things were different, pull-offs were no big deal.
Right.
Now, the motors cost so much that you just hate to see that pull-off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think it's kind of been decided for us what we're going to be doing next week, fellas.
Did I miss it? What was it?
I see 2-wheel drive trucks, and that's about it.
That's the only comment I see.
We haven't done it, and when it comes to at least top level classes, they're dwindling for our options anyway. So it's good a time as any.
We've been avoiding the ones with mass amounts of numbers.
I think I'm going to start on that tomorrow because I've got to go through a bunch.
Yeah.
I might need Brent's list for that.
250 names are on it.
Yeah. I think earlier Ike was asking what our plans were. I think as far as what he was asking was if we were going to run regional or Grand National, and the plan is still to run Grand National this year.
That's good. You come back down south Chapel Hill again this year.
Yeah.
You might be heading really, really far west, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's definitely out there.
I don't remember a gray one, Tim. I remember a red one that pulled with thumb super stock that Bruce and Matt Brown had.
There was a gray one. I don't remember the guy's name. he showed up in Imlay City one time, I think, and I think if you remember that, it was so cold. I think it was snowing, and the guy, being methanol, he couldn't get it started or had a hard time starting it. I don't even know where that truck went or who
Yeah,
he owned it.
I don't remember a gray one. I have no idea.
Yeah. Mr. Cruz Lewis, he said, if you don't mind, I'll like to hear a top 10 of all time. I'm sure we will eventually get to that, but we're trying to get through all of our classes and everything first. And then there's going to be some time coming up here in January, February, where we're probably going to detour off these lists to do some things for the winter pools that are coming up then, I'm sure.
The all-time top 10 is going to be very subjective.
Yeah. Good
Are we
luck.
going to do that by class, or are we going to do that as all together?
If we do it all together, I already know my top 3 as I sit here. So
Me too.
And it's probably the people with the most championships.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Well, two-wheel drive trucks next week or semis? We've got one of each.
let's get two-wheel drives out of the way.
Okay.
I'll
start on that tomorrow.
I think I can get a guess for that real quick too.
Let's get the migraine done.
We've got a lot. 'Cause, I mean, Mid South has a bunch of two-wheel
All right.
drives. I've got TNT and all.
They're
those.
everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like the minis. There's just a million of them.
Well, minis are exploding right now.
They
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
Two of
Mr.
them
Mick.
a lot forever.
Mr. Mick, we certainly appreciate your time tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Guys, show some love for Mr. Mick and go check out his business. He does wraps on trucks and T-shirts both. And we will see you guys next week for two-wheel drives.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mick, and I'll get together with you next week one day, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right.
Mr. Mick.
Bye.